Disclaimer: the names of the past generation of the houses have been changed to protect the innocent and to honor those fallen houses. Any names that resemble actual houses or of any resemblance to those living today are just merely coincidence. The one true king of the land is the Babe. Go by Abraham Lincoln, 487 President of the United States. P.S. Go by Marshall's Big Black Beef Jerky. It's the biggest, the blackest, and the beefiest.
Hello? Who goes there? I cannot see you, but I know you're there. Come closer. Let me tell you a story. We're approaching the holiday season, but I must warn you of a story of money, betrayal, and war. A story beyond our years. A story far back in time. Yes. A story that many have known, many have heard. But there are a lot of facts missing. A story that Abraham Lincoln will tell you today. Yes, there is a story out there. And I like to refer to that story as the Monopoly of Thrones. Yes, it's very good. There were multiple families across the land. Multiple families. You had the Babes, my ancestors. You had the Jerkies, the Hunters, the Aloe Veras, the Kimchis, the Sages, and the Nichols, all fighting for the one true throne of the land. Yes, there were many kingdoms and many other kingdoms and many other thrones, but the one true throne was open. So all of these families decided to go to war against each other for a chance to rule them all. Lord of the Rings style, but not really. It's kind of Game of Thrones style. That's what I'm going for. Game of Thrones. Why it's called Monopoly of Thrones. But anyway, this tale of war, death, betrayal, and hardships begin when most kingdoms are young. Kingdoms have been ruled for just a little bit. But upon hearing this knowledge, all of these kingdoms decided, I should sit on that throne. And as the kingdoms started preparing themselves, readying themselves for war, flags were already being placed, fealties were already being sworn, and alliances were being forged. The Aloe Veras and the Sages were a team destined to be unstoppable. Yes, that is true. Two of the greatest kingdoms of all the land forged an alliance and would come to terms who would own the throne as soon as they were the last two standing. The Jerkies, however, had friends in high places. They had the Babes on their side. Yes, the Babes. My ancestors were friends with the Jerkies, and they too wanted to do exactly what the Aloe Veras and the Sages were doing. Then you had the Kimchis, the Nichols, and the Hunters. Kingdoms in their own right, but they existed on their own plane. Kind of helpers to all if need be, but when it came down to it, there was one important rule to them. Look out for number one, or you will end up as number two. So alliances were forged, battlegrounds were drawn, and allegiances were tested. My kingdom decided it would show late to the festivities of knowing everything in this game of Monopoly of Thrones. Locations were bought, locations were guarded, and everything was being sorted. My team decided to show up late, because pigeons really suck at getting out news. That's why we stopped using them after World War I. I went to ravens. They look a lot cooler anyway. They got a big beak. Ah! Also, they're in Game of Thrones, so it works. But so, as I began my conquest, my ancestors began their conquest, I ended up in jail. Pretty much right off the bat. I had my two roles. in this game of Monopoly of Thrones. And then I rolled again. And then I was in prison. So not only did my kingdom start late, I had lost money by the people who had already owned those areas of land, and I needed to cross through them. So I owed money, I had joined late, and now I had been captured and imprisoned. The one true king, me, the babe, Abraham Lincoln. I was imprisoned. And in those trying times, my ancestors, it was rough. Prison was not as it is today with comfortable beds, 3 square meals a day. No. This prison took money from you, from yourself, to leave. You could leave any time you wanted to. Yes, that was true. All you had to do was simply test your luck. The gods may or may not let you leave, but you only have 3 chances. My ancestors did not want to take that chance, but they knew what little money they had saved in the bank. But they had to press on. They had to become the one true king, the one true monopoly. And so we forked up our money and we left prison. Again, still behind in the trying times of the wars to come, our kingdom was faltering. With little money left in the bank as we rounded the corners, we decided, this land looks nice, and no one has stopped it, no one has taken it, no one has claimed a flag on it. This orange property shall be mine. So there we were. Our kingdom, after a very long and rough time, claimed its first property, an orange. Not the most valuable of properties, but a property nonetheless that will come and help us in the later future. While this was all going on, the Jerkies were making their stand, collecting more and more land, staking their claims, having more fight for them. And we were just tagging along. The sages and the Oliveras kept to themselves, but they were starting to control waterways, roadways, things making it harder for my army and the Jerkies' army to cross. Again, we would have to pay if we ever came across there, as well as anybody else. The Hunters and the Nichols were collecting properties as well, making things more interesting. We hadn't yet arrived to the second half of our conquest of our continent with the yellows, greens, and dark blues. But the browns, the light blues, the pinks, the oranges, things were looking different. They were spread across each kingdom. Each kingdom did not have a good foothold on the other. Some paid for more money. Some had bought more properties. Some had lost properties. Not really. We just didn't really buy them. But this game of Monopoly was getting more and more interesting as time went on. Alliances were being tested. And as my army and my kingdom, we continued to expand and roam the empire looking for more places to defend, we came across an oracle. The oracle looked at my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather and told him this. There is but a secret passageway along the river, through the trees. To grandmother's house you'll go. Wait, wrong game, wrong story, my bad. Across the trees, through the river, you will find a land known as the Boardwalk. It is a bit expensive, and you will need lots of manpower to maintain it. But I believe this kingdom can rise up if you control both of those blues. So my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather Abraham Lincoln traveled and heeded the words of the oracle and he did find himself upon the boardwalk, a magical land that he had never seen before, rich in nutrients. The ground sprouted coconut trees and pineapple trees. Pineapples don't grow from trees, fun fact. But there they sprouted. There were pineapple trees. There was money trees. But it all came at a price. A price super high. That my grandfather thought, maybe I shouldn't buy this. But the Jerkies talked to him, and they counseled. And my great times a lot grandfather decided to buy the boardwalk before the journey really began. But I will save this tune and tale for another time. Our time is run out. But you are now hooked and invested in the Monopoly of Thrones, with all of the kingdoms coming into view. The places were being set, the lines were being drawn. But who would come out on top? That will have to come another day. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. So this was kind of a late recording. I am stupid tired. I don't know why. I can't really tell you. But I know that, yes, I am ridiculously tired. And this story is essentially coming from my workplace. We're playing a game of Monopoly there. You get different roles for, different tasks that we perform at work. So that's kind of how I showed up late. They started on my weekend, so that's why I showed up late. But other than that, yeah, everybody's house names or family names, as we call them, the kingdom names. You don't necessarily know who they are. At least some of those who watch this, you might not know who they are. But for those of you that do watch this, I will try to tell the most truthful and accurate representation of this game. And hopefully we will reach a conclusion eventually. But as of right now, the game is nearing its end point, with only a couple of kingdoms left standing and all the wreckage of war. But again, we will save that for another time, as our great narrator, Abraham Lincoln, will explain. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. This will be out on Sunday, I swear to you. I'm just going to do a little bit of editing here, and then I'll throw it up on Sunday. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you laughed, and I hope you smiled. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.